promise you, the street is right here and so loud. Hi, welcome back. We are currently in my studio, so expect a lot of noise from the street. I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to deal with it. So here we go. We're continuing on with laying the context. If you don't already know, I used to be Catholic. I used to be a Catholic priest, actually. I know that it's hard to tell considering how much my life has changed. Seeing the result of the previous videos, especially the last two, concerning the actual congregation that I was a part of, it seems like there was a huge change that people didn't see it coming. And I see that. I understand what they're saying, because a lot of the people that knew me, they saw me for what I represented. I was a priest, and they were happy at the choices that I made, and I brought a certain honor to the church, and I was giving myself to God, so there was an elevation. And now I'm a horrible sinner. Now, let's not exaggerate. And following the ideas that I'm presenting in my Instagram and Facebook posts, I don't want to exaggerate. I don't want to be one of those people that leaves their religious upbringing and they're only capable of seeing the horrible aspects of it, and everything that they say is against their formation. I think that it's important, in order to be real, to be authentic, that you have to go back. You have to look at everything, the good and the bad, and you have to accept the good and the bad. So that's why I'm making this video. So first, I want to look at the good things. It's always good to be optimistic, right? So let's see some of the good points that I learned from religion that made the person that I am today. The first thing is a sense of humanity. So it was easy in religion, especially in Catholic religion, to not specifically identify everyone with their race or their culture. It was universal. It was for everyone. And everyone was placed on a similar level, that we were all people that needed God. We were all people that were flawed and insufficient. Looking at everyone else, it wasn't like, oh, this country is better than this country, or this person, this race is better than this race, or even this gender is better than this gender, in theory. I'm speaking more of what I learned from the religion, not necessarily the practice of that religion. It's a very important distinction, and it's one that I'll make over and over again, the difference between the theoretical and the practical. The second thing was humility. If we are all flawed, if we all need God, that means that we can't really look at ourselves in any high way. We can't see ourselves as somebody important, that we're self-sufficient. And it reduces the idea of pride, of arrogance. Remember the difference between theoretical and practical. So if we all need God, then how the heck are we going to walk around acting like we're the best person that ever existed? It's impossible. Also, there was this sense of purpose. If we are walking together towards heaven, which is the goal, then that means that I was able to clearly prioritize all of the things in my life in order to best reach that goal. And it was nice. It was nice to be able to say, okay, if I want to get to heaven eventually, and I don't know exactly when I'm going to die, is this action going to help me, or is it going to hinder me? And it helped me make decisions. It ultimately helped me in my path towards the seminary and becoming a priest. Also, the family was very important. Being here in Mexico now, I see that because the foundations of this culture is based on Catholicism, the sense of family is very close and very strong. Sometimes a little too strong. One day I hope to make a video about that. But there's a respect for the parents. There's even an honor for the parents from the commandment. And also the idea of virtue, that we should moderate our impulses, that we shouldn't just follow everything that we want to do, that we really do have to judge to see if something is good or bad for us. To have that perspective in life does make us better, does form our character, and having that approach to character building did help me. There's certain things that I am now benefiting from because of that past formation. And based on that, especially in the seminary and some of the philosophy courses that I took, there's an emphasis on logic, of being rational, of thinking, of having ideas and opinions that are based on our perception of reality without even bringing religion into it. So many people nowadays, they go around with so many opinions. They have this opinion and that opinion, and they don't know why. They never actually looked at the opinion. They never studied the words that are involved in that opinion, but they follow it because some godlike figure, celebrity, gave it to them. Some politician gave it to them. And we can see now more than ever the fact that people are following ideologies and they don't understand why. This is not an extensive list, but just some ideas to present to you. Now I want to talk about some of the bad things. The first is the lack of self-esteem. I'm not saying that I was going around acting like a victim, that I was moping, that I was exaggerating. It's just that I didn't have much that I could say that was good about myself. Based upon the practical application of the idea that I presented before of humility, I didn't see the good in myself. I thought that the more that I saw within myself that was bad, the more I would depend upon God. So if someone came up to me and said, "Francis, but you're so good at X, Y, and Z," the holy thing would be to say, "Praise be God, because He gave me those good things. He gave me those talents. He did that through me." I focused on the bad because in my mind, I thought, no, that's the real Francis, the bad part. That's really Francis because that's Francis acting on his own. Lack of self-esteem. And of course, codependency, which I could go on and on about. I actually made a video if you want to check it out. I was so concerned with making the people around me happy. Maybe it was due in part to my situation growing up, but I always wanted to please everyone. It didn't matter how I felt. It didn't matter if it was uncomfortable. It didn't matter if it was the right thing to do. If it was the right thing to do, then that was good enough for me. And I could speak about family, friends, other members of my congregation, the priests that I looked up to, that I wanted them to look at me and be satisfied with how I was. But I think it went all the way up to God, that I was so concerned about pleasing God, it didn't matter if I was completely miserable. It didn't matter. We're getting into the thick of it. And based upon what I said before about the lack of self-esteem, about trying to please people, that created this lack of identity of myself, that I didn't really know who I was. It didn't matter who I was with. I always tried to be like one of them. And this even happened in the seminary. It was even told to us in the seminary that the 7 years that I was there would be a time of formation, that we had to be open to be molded into this person that would eventually be a priest. And I really tried to be like that. I tried not to fight anything. I tried not to cut corners. I really tried to just be open for God to work through me. And it resulted in me just imitating everyone, changing from one personality to another. A priest would criticize that I was too quiet, and then I would try to be more outgoing. I hope that person is okay. And then always looking at the ideal versus reality. There were so many examples of all of these saints and these great people that we were supposed to emulate. And the fact was, no one was like that. No, it was all in books. And of course, the books emphasize the good in people. There was a book that I loved in the seminary. It was by Graham Greene, and it was called The Power and the Glory. And it was about a priest who went to Mexico. He lost his faith, but it's a book that really showed a more realistic side to things. I remember it was criticized because people thought that it wasn't good to see a priest who was human like that had all of those flaws. It wasn't redemptive. The idea of redemption always comes through when we talk about religion. The idea of going from a miserable state to a holy state. Seeing someone suffer through a bad time without that redemptive quality in the end scared people. I loved it because it was raw, it was real, and I felt such a connection with the book. It's a good book. I know that during my time in religion, I was so obsessed with that part because it was literally my day-to-day experience. It was the failure. It was looking at where I went wrong. If there was some sort of human failure that we all experience, it wasn't as simple as, just move on. And I will tell you that now that I'm not practicing, I still see the flaws in myself. I still see those elements that I don't like, that I want to change. But instead of examining them and obsessing over them, I'm able to step back and put them in their proper perspective. I'm sure there's many people who have left because they want to do things and they were forbidden to do it. They wanted to rebel, so they left. They left the restrictive environment so that they could do whatever. And in my head, that just doesn't make sense. If something is good, do it. If something is bad, don't do it. And I think that goes back to my formation, that I'm able to look at things and rationalize them and think, is this really good for me? Well, I think that's all for today. I hope that the cars didn't annoy you as much as they did me. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and please subscribe. Please leave a comment, like the video. You can check out my Instagram and my Facebook and my Twitter if you want, but any sort of support that you can give really helps and gets the word out to different people that maybe need to hear this. I'll see you next time, and Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Bye. I wonder what the comments are going to be after this video.